everyone. Hey, welcome to the Unity Community, Unity of Boulder. We are the most eclectic, most diverse community in the country because we believe in diversity and we believe in sharing. I'd just like to give you a special message today. There are many, many peoples everywhere that have suffered by virtue of the devastation of this pandemic. Certainly those who have suffered the most are among the Native Americans who every year we do a drive for, a Christmas drive in which we collect presents and gifts and other items that are needed, like clothing and heating equipment and things like that. So I would like you to start thinking about that while you're shopping this year. If you want to pick up a gift for a young child or a boy or a girl, you just pick up the gift, you wrap it, and you put on the gift package, whether it's a boy or for a girl, and put the age on there that the gift would be appropriate for. So just keep thinking about that. We're going to give you more information about that. And we have a special treat for you right after the service. We're going to do a special intro to kind of tease you about our upcoming Christmas Eve service. So stay tuned and enjoy.
Now let us take a time to connect to Spirit in prayer. And to do this, first we need to just breathe. Take a breath now. Just be in that pause and relax. And let go of the outside world. Just be in this moment. And in prayer, it's good to imagine connecting to your spiritual core, that ever-present connection to Spirit. So do that now. Just bring your attention to that inner spiritual core. And in that space, we can know and feel that we are loved. We are loved just the way we are. In that space, we remember we are loved unconditionally. Feel that love now. You may imagine yourself and your whole body surrounded with a warm red light. And affirm with me, I am God's perfect child. I am God's perfect child. There's nothing to be but me. There's nothing to be but me as I am in this moment. We know that this love that is within us, the love of God, the love of Spirit, permeates every cell of our body. So feel that now. It is the love of God that reminds us that we are whole, we are complete, and we are held. I am whole, I am complete, I am supported. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, thank you for this love that enfolds all people, all things, all time. We are the love of God. I am the love of God. I am. And to this we say, Amen.
Hello, my name is Arenya River White, and I will be singing The River by Joni Mitchell, my mom and I's favorite Christmas song. It's coming on Christmas, they're cutting down trees, putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. But it don't snow here, it stays pretty green. I'm gonna make a lot of money and then I'm gonna quit this crazy scene. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long that I would teach my feet to fly. I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby cry. He tried hard to help me, you know, he put me at ease, and he loved me so fully, made me weak in my knees. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. It's so hard to handle, I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I've gone and lost the best baby that I ever had. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. Oh, I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby say goodbye. It's coming on Christmas, they're cutting down trees, putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on.
Thank you, Arenya, and our beautiful band. If you don't know, that's my daughter, Arenya. We like those depressive Christmas songs. They're just so pretty and so melodic. And, Joni Mitchell, she's got great music. So I wanted to start with that song because the holiday seasons aren't always a happy time for people. The holidays can actually be a time that it brings up, kind of magnifies a feeling of maybe being alone, or magnifies being in the midst of change, or, if we have spouses and children and all that, that's what makes Christmas so magical. And so that's why churches are so important, that we recognize that this isn't the easiest time of year if you are facing change in your life at the moment. I was watching a Hallmark movie last night. I usually watch very light type of TV to just kind of stay out of my head when I'm preparing to speak the next day. And Mike and I were observing, when you watch these movies, it's like the exact same plot line with different actors. It is exactly the same plot line, and it goes something like this. Somebody's working in a city. They're going to go home to their home country town for Christmas. They run into their old boyfriend from high school, or the guy that owns the ice cream shop that they went to high school with, or the coffee shop owner that they went to high school with. They start dating, under some sort of circumstances, and then they fall in love because of the Christmas spirit and are reminded that the city life isn't as good as a good hometown Christmas. And it makes you feel good. The acting's terrible. Awful. I could be an actor in one of these shows. I'm like, unbelievable. And yet you seem to not want to change the channel. You get hooked on the love line of it because it's just so happy, and it's just so sweet, and it's just so simple, and it just makes life look so easy. So Mike and I started having fun afterwards and rewriting a Hallmark Christmas movie that would probably have to move out of G to PG. And we could not stop laughing, changing the characters. And obviously, it was a lot of fun, and we were just in this magical place of kind of speaking to what the holidays really are truly like for most people, even people with partners and kids. It's a stressful time, and there's a lot to pull off, and especially now with no stores to walk into, or it's all online, and it's just not the same to not see all the ornaments and be around other people that are enjoying the Christmas music and all that. So I wanted just to mention that because with my daughter singing that song, we love songs like that, and we're so blessed to not be in a place where it is a depressive Christmas. But the Hallmark movies, Hallmark is owned by a Christian company, and it's all light. It's lifted. And yet it doesn't really teach you how to get through the holidays. And they put in Bible passages. You see them sneak them in and things like that. But they don't really actually give you any navigation points of how you make it through when things aren't going well at Christmas. And so I started to think about, what is a story that points to us feeling the magic of Christmas? What is a story that touches our hearts and can lift us and actually give us a sense of something drawing us to do better and be better and have a birth of Christ within ourselves? And I was looking through some old literature of mine, and I came across a story. And it's a true story, but it's coming from Edgar Cayce. And Edgar Cayce, who is the most documented psychic and has been a proven psychic, who can actually go back in time and tell stories about time past. And he actually comes up with a story of what actually happened as far as the Christmas story. And it's super interesting. It fills in some of the blanks. Yeah, we've read the Christmas story in the Bible, but to hear really what the energy was back at that time when the birth of Christ was coming. This reading was given for the Thomas Sugru journey. It was questions that were asked from the first Search of God group, and then there were answers from Edgar Casey about what actually happened as far as the birth of Christ. While concurring with the gospel account of the purpose behind the journey to this small town south of Jerusalem, namely to be registered for a new Roman tax, the Thomas Sugru readings make a passing reference to the spiritual education and preparation that Mary, from the age of 4 until 16, underwent in the Essene community on Mount Carmel. The Essenes, we learn elsewhere, were a reclusive Jewish religious sect of both men and women that embraced the teachings of the Jewish prophets from Elijah onwards and accepted astrology, the study of solar systems, numerology, and reincarnation as part of a broader understanding of the interaction between the divine and the human experience. As a result of the knowledge gained, they were aware of the cyclical time frame associated with the ancient prophecy concerning the coming of the Messiah, and of the necessity for creating those conditions conducive to its fulfillment. This last week, my women's group was closing up our book on outrageous openness, and the whole last few chapters were on astrology and the importance of knowing what our birth signs are and our rising signs, and to be able to navigate more surely on our path that we are fulfilling that which our soul's journey is here to do and be. And it was a super interesting conversation, and we were going all over the place, and many people left going, I've got to go get an astrology reading. I would like to find out what my birth chart is, because when it comes down to it, when we are on a spiritual path, we recognize that there are no coincidences. There are none. Everything is a divine plan. Everything's divine order. So there is a reason that the second that you came into this world, your entrance had purpose. Your entrance had meaning. And so to know what your rising signs are and what your birth signs are relative to your spiritual journey. And numerology. So it's so interesting to watch that the Essenes studied in these things to fine-tune their intuition and be better aware of the signs and symbols of spirit moving in and through their lives. And so here we are talking about that last Tuesday, and then this article appears. When I'm searching for what I'm going to be speaking this week, it appears. And clearly it was meeting me in my group as a way shower of what we beckoned together that night. Spirit never stops blowing my mind. Spirit, when you step out of your own way and you put the power into the hands of the Creator, God, Source, Allah, whatever word makes you feel the presence of divine love, you will be divinely guided to that which is needed at all times, in every situation, every circumstance in your life. So when we call to the universe, we get answers. So our group, and that's what I love about having a women's group, is that we're collectively coming together. It's almost like coming together in prayer. You know, to pray with another is a powerful thing. To be with other women searching for the answers and searching for a greater connection with God through sisterhood. It's a powerful practice. It's a powerful work. So we were opening up to more and more of the Christ potential in ourselves. Because it's not about some distant day that, God was born and Jesus was to be some special, separate entity that's different than us. We have to look at the story of how it pertains to our own personal lives. In the book, Your Hope of Glory, which is a Unity book, it says, in the Unity teachings, the word soul is generally used to designate the total consciousness. But in Bible interpretation, as given by Charles Fillmore, men represent that phase of the soul we term mind, and women represent the emotional or feeling nature of the soul. Mary symbolizes the purified soul that has become highly intuitive and sensitive to inspiration from the Lord. To the soul in this state, an angel, spiritual thoughts comes Hail, O favored one, the Lord is with you. We are confused when we first receive spiritual inspiration. Mary was troubled at the saying and considered in her mind what sort of greeting this might be. In the initial stage of our spiritual awakening, we are not aware of what is happening. It is different from any experience we have ever had. If we will be still, reassurance will come. Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and behold, you will bear a son. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. That is, we are to be receptacles for this outpouring of Spirit. We are to bring good into visible form. But how can this be? It is not in accord with the human laws with which we are familiar. For that purpose, they undertook under the supervision of their leader, Judy. So this is what the Essenes did. For that purpose, they undertook under the supervision of their leader, Judy, the instruction of a chosen group of young girls who were offered by their parents for the purpose of one thing. For the purpose of one of them becoming the vessel through which there might be the birth. In Mary's case, she was 4 years of age when her mother Anne presented her to the Essenes. She, along with some of the others, later freely chose to dedicate herself to this ideal. We learn that she was about 12 years of age when she was chosen. It was sunrise as she and the other maidens ascended the altar steps of the Essene temple for morning prayer when the angel Gabriel appeared and took her hand to lead her forward. Mary had become purified by spiritual aspiration and dedicated to the will of God. She was highly intuitive and thus receptive to a revelation from the Holy Spirit and was aware of the quickening of new life. The idea of perfect humanity, Christ, was immaculately or spiritually conceived by her. This idea, filled with the life and wisdom of Spirit, was gradually to form its outer vehicle of expression, Jesus. The marriage between the older Joseph, who was an Essene associate, did not take place until Mary was 16. It also took place on Mount Carmel. The couple arrived in Bethlehem after a journey of several days during which there were delays due to Mary's advanced condition. It was cool. We are told that the road to Bethlehem was quite crowded with shepherds, husbandmen, and other coming in from the hills of Judea to be registered for taxation. Mary and Joseph were not alone, but were accompanied by some of Joseph's assistants and others. In the meantime, the inn had become crowded with an assortment of other travelers. So this is all from this reading from Edgar Casey. And officials whose presence and behavior made the inn unsuitable for the event that some had hoped would take place there. Laughter and jeers greeted Joseph on his arrival with his much younger and very pregnant wife. So it was for the purpose for protecting them from further abuse and the disturbing conditions inside for such an occasion that Absaphar, the innkeeper, who was also an associate of the Essenes, felt it be best to turn the couple away. This is interesting because we haven't heard this part before. So one of the followers of the Essenes, he's also part of meditation and astrology and numerology. He owns the inn. And there's some sort of a party because they're excited about this birth of Christ, but it's not the holy energy that is needed for the coming of this Savior. This shows that everything doesn't always go as planned. Even Christ's birth. They already had a plan. This is where it's supposed to happen, and now they're sent out in the cold, and they now have to find, where is the child of God going to be born? Immediately those with the couple and who were aware of the urgency involved looking for a place where shelter and privacy could quickly be found. As a result, Mary and Joseph took refuge in a stable set in one of the hillside caves nearby. Then when hope seemed gone, the herald angels sang. The star appeared that made the wonderment to the shepherds. that caused the awe and consternation to all of those about the inn. Some making fun, some smitten with conviction that those unkind things said must needs to be readjusted in relationship to things coming to pass. All were in awe as the brightness of his star appeared and shone. As the music of the spheres brought that joyful choir, peace on earth, goodwill to men of good faith. All felt the vibrations and saw a great light. Not only the shepherds above the stable, but those in the inn as well. To be sure, those conditions were later to be dispelled by the doubters, who told the people they had been overcome with wine or whatnot. Just as the midnight hour came, there was the birth of the Master. When we turn to a reading requested by the Norfolk Study Group for a deeper understanding of the birth of Jesus, the Christ, we are presented with an opening comment that immediately suggests a transcendental perspective. For time never was when there was not a Christ and not a Christ miss. From here on, we are drawn into a more metaphysical interpretation of the event. After acknowledging the historical account as written up in Luke's gospel, Casey stresses that the perfect concept of what the birth means can only be known by those who seek to experience what such an advent means in their own lives. So then we take to task, what does the birth of Christ in me mean? What does that symbolize? Why does it touch us? Why does it bring a sense of reverence and connection? Is it some separate Son of God that's distant that we refer to be able to get his favor so we can have a relationship with God? Or is Jesus an example of what we were all capable of being? And Mary, from the age of 4 years old, was prepared to be the avenue for that love. Does it have to be a miraculous experience? Or what if we raised our children to know that they are the avenue for the love of this world? That we are the children of God. And our children are the children of God. And we've been the avenue for them. And our children will be the avenue for the next Christ creation on earth. Reference is made to the difference between the knowledge of an event and the wisdom embedded in it, which in this case was the desire of the soul that was Jesus to give the more perfect concept of the relationship of mankind to the Creator, as was also the case with Mary. It is pointed out that there is a lesson here for all of us, namely the willingness to become a channel for the expression of God's love in this world. So the various aspects of the preparation for the coming of the Christ child are in themselves pointers to us for the work of bringing about the birth in ourselves of that same divine consciousness. It almost looks like I almost have all women in here, and this is for the men too, but for those of us that have given birth to children, or fathers who observed their children being birthed, I don't think that we can ever really point to another time that we feel closer to God. This sense of this miraculousness of being in a moment singular to your own community coming through you. Your little magic children that appear. I can sit back and I can remember each one of my kids and staring at my children after giving birth, after all the chaos of natural birth, and it all ending with the holding of that child. There is no time. Time has stopped. and you're in the presence of the beloved, who's to say that that beautiful child that we're holding isn't the child of God? You look at this child and you say, how could this child look this beautiful and perfect? This can't be me. This is something greater. And how we learn to be parents as we don't have books or we don't have anything to prepare us to be the expression of the kind of love that has to raise a child to become a powerful and beautiful being, an aware being, a kind and compassionate being. And yet, there's just whispers that just kind of move us through it until it becomes almost like you realize you've been a mother before, you've been a father before, and this isn't the first time. From your many lifetimes, the memory of being the mother of the child of God. And for some, the birth of Christ's story makes them feel uncomfortable due to an upbringing maybe in another religion or a Christian upbringing that had some implications that they were not good enough or that they had to accept Jesus as their Savior, and somehow that didn't feel right to them. Christianity doesn't work for everybody. However, there's a wonderful thing written by Eric Butterworth, who is one of the most amazing indie ministers, in his book called Discover the Power Within You. And he writes, "Is God a Christian? Think about it. There was no Christianity when Jesus walked the earth. What he taught was a universal truth. His followers later made it into what we think of as the Christian religion. Most of this happened over centuries, engineered by those more concerned with perpetuating a monument than disseminating a message." This is super, super important. Most of this happened over centuries, engineered by those more concerned with perpetuating a monument than disseminating a message. He writes, "I have often speculated on what Jesus would have done if he had been seated around a table with a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Muslim, all the religions, discussing ultimate truth. I just can't believe that Jesus would have said, 'You must all forsake your beliefs and come and follow me.' I think he might have pointed out that the differences were chiefly a matter of semantics, and that here is an underlying principle similar to the Christ idea in every religion. I think he would have stressed the basic unity within the diversity of religions, pointing out that the greatest need of all persons is to find that indwelling unity with God, which is found in the principle of divine sonship that we call the Christ. In this sense, we may well ask ourselves some of these leading questions, drawn from the Messiah's birth story. How are we preparing spiritually, mentally, and physically for the coming of the Christ child within us? Do we try to purify the body, discipline the mind, and bring about a holistic balance between the spiritual, mental, and physical so that we may become better vessels for the indwelling of God's presence in us? Do we periodically take ourselves apart from the world, as in daily meditation or in other ways that allow us to become more attuned to the divine? Are we engaged with a persistent spiritual practice individually or as part of a group or church that allows us to become more attuned to the divine? Do we exercise the faith that is required of us to enter upon that journey that results in a new birth, which many of us are in that phase right now? Building our faith for the new birth, the new earth. As we're watching things falling away, we have faith that we only have good ahead of us. And we stay in spiritual and vibrational alignment with that. Do we pay attention to those dreams, inner promptings, and intuitive insights, the angelic influences that beckon us to follow the light, the heavenly star that shines within us? Time and again, the individuals in the group that sought this information were advised and encouraged to seek to be channels, each according to their abilities for the loving expression of this universal creative force. So it's a matter of finding what is your special thing that you add unto this world. Because everyone is needed at this time. And everyone has something uniquely beautiful that Spirit gave you to be a channel of His love, to be an expression for this new birth, this new earth. The readings emphasize that is in our positive responses to such questions posed by the Bethlehem story that today or tomorrow, the Christ may be born into our consciousness. For He was the elder brother. He is the babe in thy heart, in thy life. To be then even now, as then, nourished in the heart, in body, in mind. For as He chose to enter, so ye have entered. As He chose to live, so may ye live. And as these changes come about, and as ye make known that as has been the raising of that consciousness of His presence in thine experience, by thy dealings with, by thy conversation with, by thy life with, thy fellow man, so may ye hasten the day when He, Christ, may come into thine own heart, unto His own peoples, to reign, yes, in the hearts and lives. Then what are ye doing about it in thy daily life, thy daily conversation? For not by might nor in power, but in the still, small voice that speaks within. And so it is. We'll take an offering for unity now.
We will take an offering for unity now, and while we're doing that, we should consider how deeply involved this Unity Center is in divine transformation. In other words, we're not so overly involved with a lot of, pomp and circumstance. We're involved with inspiring each other to go a little deeper within our own awareness through spiritual practice, that we can open up and feel the entering of this Christ awareness. While it is given symbolically as the birth of a son 2,000 years ago to God, that's the beginning step for us as we look upon it. But what Santisha is saying here today is about our journey of preparing ourselves for the most extraordinary thing that can happen in anyone's life on earth. So, having received this message, we should be open with our mind and heart to share and support this ministry, which is so totally focused on divine transformation. So, to those of you that are tuning in, just watching this on screen, live stream, or on YouTube or Facebook or any one of the other medias, you can look up here at our screen and you can see the different ways you can make a donation to Unity of Boulder so we can continue this ministry of transformation. And to those of you sitting here, you can also make a donation through one of these particular medias, or you can make a donation, and if you have a particular physical donation, you can leave it in the basket in the lobby, or you can dip your credit card in the credit card dip jars and make your donation. So right now, why don't we just all bring to mind that gift that we would like to make to this ministry to support it in its ongoing teachings of transformation. And let's bless that gift with this offering statement. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. And now we have a wonderful opportunity to give you a glimpse, to have you look forward to our coming live stream Christmas Eve service at 6 p.m. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be extraordinary. And to give you a little taste of it, we have this number that's going to be shared right now by Dinah Snow and Cintisha Shadle. It begins with these words. 'Twas the night before the first Christmas. Not a creature was stirring, but all were awake. Such silence the Bethlehem hills had never known. Shepherds in those hills sat upon the earth, spellbound by the majesty of that silent night, in which their flocks made not a single sound. Then out of the star-studded heavens came the voices of angels, chanting an ode to humanity, preparing all for the birth of Christ. So, 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, tune in to our live stream Christmas production. And we'll have our closing benediction together as we sing. Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was. Lucy, come on up here. With God as a leader, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit flood my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. In the Spirit, let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God.